On paper, I'd like you to calculate -7 plus 3. Remember that number lines are very similar to thermometers. So while we're working on the number line, it's sometimes helpful to recall the similarities to thermometers. First, let's consider the two quantities on their own number line. What does a change of -7 units look like on the number line? So think about it for a second. On a thermometer, -7 was a decrease. On the number line, a decrease is represented by moving left. So we can represent -7 using an arrow that moves 7 units to the left. So now we think about what a change of +3 looks like. Again, think about it in terms of a thermometer. On a thermometer, +3 represents an increase. On the number line, an increase is represented by moving right. We can represent +3 using an arrow that moves 3 units to the right. So now we got to think about it. What does it mean to add these two quantities? Let's start with the first integer, -7. All we need to do is copy this first integer to our final number line, which we're going to use to represent addition. Currently, we're located at -7. From this location, we want to increase our sum by 3 units. So we copy the arrow that we use to represent +3, making sure that the arrow starts where the arrow for -7 ended. Again, you're going to notice that starting at 0, we have a path of arrows that we can follow. The final location is the answer to our addition problem. So -7 plus 3 is equal to -4. On paper, calculate -4 plus -5. As you do this, keep in mind that you can always think about these numbers in terms of temperature if you need to visualize what's going on. So what happens when two negatives are added together? Again, let's look at the number line so we can actually visualize what's going on. As we did before, we're going to first consider the two quantities that we want to add on their own. So what does a change of -4 look like on the number line? We can represent -4 using an arrow that moves 4 units to the left. What does a change of -5 look like on the number line? We represent the change of -5 using an arrow that moves 5 units to the left. So again, we ask ourselves, what does it mean to add these quantities? We start with the first integer and copy that arrow to represent -4. Again, we're now 4 units to the left of 0. To this number, we want to add -5. So we copy the arrow that was representing -5, making sure that that arrow starts where the arrow for -4 ended. We follow the path and we see that -4 plus -5 is equal to -9. Now there's something interesting happening here. So let's take a moment and compare the representations for -4 plus -5 and for 4 plus 5 on the number line. What do you notice right away? Can you see that the two representations are actually mirror images of one another? This tells us that these two calculations are actually very similar. The main difference is that the arrows are pointing in opposite directions. We are actually going to use this observation to help us with our mental arithmetic.